Oikologne is going to do for 1 energy, 10 damage, and 30 more damage for each of your opponent's bench Pokemon. So that's going to let you hit for up to 130 damage if your opponent has a full bench. So really good. Am I doing that right? 160. 160 is a lot better.
And that's yet another DDG win.
Hey everyone, this is Nick Moffitt representing Dead Draw Gaming. Today I'm going to take you through what I believe to be the top 10 cards out of the up and coming Scarlet Violet base set expansion. Just some disclaimers before we start. All of this is my opinion. You are more than welcome to disagree. And you can place what you believe should be the top 10 cards in the comment section under this video. Another thing, I tend to rate cards that are guaranteed to be playable in multiple archetypes higher than I would something that is specific to one archetype that may or may not end up being very prevalent. This list is going to be based on the battle styles to Scarlet and Violet post-rotation format. I'm not considering any cards from sets afterwards, as I haven't really gotten a chance to look at those yet. And then these cards are in a general order, but you could obviously swap the order around one card or the other. It's definitely up for debate. All right, first up, we've got Hawlucha. It's got an ability, Flying Entry. When you place it down from your hand, you get to put 1 damage counter on each of two of your opponent's bench Pokemon. This is very reminiscent of Zigzagoon from the base set for Sword and Shield. And it's going to allow you to soften up a few Pokemon. It's going to be really great pairing with Sableye. So, if your opponent has 2 Pokemon with 70 HP in play, you can play down Hawlucha, put 10 damage on each of those, and then use Sableye to put 6 on each of those, taking 2 prizes. Unfortunately, Scoop Up Net is rotating. It's going to make this card a lot worse than it would be if Scoop Up Net was in the format. Also, we have Quick Balls rotating as well, which will make the card a little bit harder to search out and utilize. Like with Zigzagoon, you could use Quick Ball to search it out. You could also use Scoop Up Net to reuse it. That's not going to be an option with Hawlucha. Also, you can't hit the active with Hawlucha, which is a slight downside. Next up, we have Oikologne Ex. I'm not a huge fan of this card personally, but it definitely does have some potential. I think Arceus V-Star is probably going to be generally better, as you can hit for 200 damage, power up other attackers. But basically, both of these Pokemon, are going to want to use Sharon's Care to, heal themselves off. Oikologne is going to do for 1 energy, 10 damage, and 30 more damage for each of your opponent's bench Pokemon. So that's going to let you hit for up to 130 damage if your opponent has a full bench. So really good. Am I doing that right? 160. 160 is a lot better. 160 for 1 is pretty huge if your opponent has a full bench. So it's a really great attack for 1 energy. And then, the second attack you're going to be using less often for 3 colorless, 210. If you flip a coin and if it tails, you can't attack during your next turn. It is an EX instead of a Pokemon V, so you're missing out on Star Birth that you would get with Arceus, but you don't take extra damage from Choice Belt. You can put on a full face guard to take 20 less damage. And then also the basic Lechonk is going to be non-EX, so it's only going to be worth 1 prize card. So definitely a benefit there, where if you had Arceus V and that got knocked out, you're going to still give up 2 prize cards. So definitely a give and take. Arceus is probably more well-rounded, but if you build a specific deck around Oikologne, could definitely have some potential. Up next, we have a supporter, Miriam. So this one lets you choose 5 Pokemon from your discard pile, shuffle them back into your deck, and then draw 3 cards afterwards. Ordinary Rod is rotating, which was our main Pokemon recovery before the rotation. And so now we're kind of only left Clara, and then we have Miriam. Clara lets you put 2 Pokemon and 2 energy into your hand from the discard pile, whereas Miriam's going to let you get 5 Pokemon into the deck and then draw some cards. So you are getting a little bit of draw with Miriam, and so it's going to be more powerful in decks that don't need to recover the basic energy cards, like Gardevoir EX, like we'll get into later. We also have Arven. This one lets you search for an item card and a tool card, put those into your hand. There is going to be a rule change with the release of Scarlet and Violet, where tool cards are no longer going to count as item cards. They're going to be their own classification, just like supporters, just like stadiums, right? So, something like a Irida will no longer be able to search out an item card like it was before. A lot of Lugia decks would play Irida to search out Luminion or Manaphy and also a Choice Belt. That's not going to be able to happen anymore, unfortunately. So, Arven can kind of replace that. You could search out something like Sky Sealstone, Forest Sealstone, Choice Belt, any of these great tool cards that, might be hard to find otherwise. Next up, we have Klefki. So Klefki, as long as it's in the active, it's going to shut off all basic Pokemon abilities. So kind of like wheezing, but it's also going to show off yours and only for the basic Pokemon. But it is a basic itself, so you can, put it up as soon as turn 1. It only does 10 damage, so probably not going to be putting much pressure on the opponent. But, it's something you can retreat into on the first turn. If you use all of your abilities to set up, to retreat into Klefki at the end of your turn and kind of shut your opponent off from doing their setup. Also, there's Regieleki EX, which will, can do a hit and run attack, poke for a bit of damage, throw up Klefki, and, give your opponent some trouble. Next up, we have Miraidon EX. This one's going to let you search out 2 basic lightning Pokemon and put them on your bench once per turn. You are going to be able to chain this, so you can use Miraidon EX, get another Miraidon EX and a Regieleki, and then use the other Miraidon and get 2 more basic Pokemon and kind of set up your whole board on turn 1 very easily. And then you have Photon Blaster for 3 energies. It's going to do 220 and can't attack next turn. So basically the idea is to set up a bunch of Regieleki VMAX so that you can take big one-hit KOs with Miraidon. You can also use Raikou V, things like this. And you can also attack with the Regieleki basic itself for that hit and run strategy, throwing up Klefki, things like this. So definitely a very strong setup card to get your board filled and a decent attack. Raikou V is generally going to be stronger, as long as your opponent has a full bench, because it only takes 2 energy instead of 3. Miraidon would be nothing without Electricity Generator. This one's going to let you look at the top 5 cards of your deck, get up to 2 basic lightning energy from there and attach to your bench lightning Pokemon. Very reminiscent of Max Elixir, that very powerful item card, which would let you look at the top 6 cards of your deck, get any basic energy, and attach it to one of your benched Pokemon. Max Elixir saw play in all different kinds of decks, from Buzzwole to, really anything under the sun, honestly. So this one's only going to let you look at 5 cards, so it is a little less likely that you're going to get an energy, but you also have the chance to get 2, and that would be a big swing in tempo, right? So it's kind of high risk, high reward in that sense. Next up, we have Beach Court, and coming in 3rd. This one is an exact reprint of Skyro Bridge, back from the Black and White era. Going to give every basic Pokemon 1 less retreat. It's going to be amazing for Comfy, to be able to retreat between 2 Comfies, retreat a Comfy into your attacker, anything like that. It gives you Comfy for your retreat, basically. And that's going to be really important for Lost Zone decks, because Air Balloon and Scoop of Net are both rotating. So this will probably be the staple stadium in Lost Zone decks moving forward. It's also great for that Miraidon deck, right? Because Miraidon has 1 retreat. It's going to let you, use Electricity Generator, power up something on the bench, retreat into it, and take a big knockout. Also let you retreat in and out of your Klefki if you're going for that strategy, in order to kind of achieve a one-sided ability lock there. All right, this is one of the big boys of the set, Gardevoir EX. Everyone's talking about it. As often as you like, you can attach a basic energy from your discard pile to one of your Pokemon and put 2 damage counter on that psychic Pokemon. You can't do that if you would knock that Pokemon out. And then for 2 psychic and a colorless, you're going to do 190, recover from all special conditions. The attack itself is pretty lackluster, but the ability is really where this card shines, right? And there's a lot of great attackers that you can pair with this. There's another Gardevoir with the ability Shining Arcana, which allows you to look at the top 2 cards of your deck, attach any psychic energy you find there, and draw the other cards, right? And then you also have 2 amazing Curlias that are going to let you help. They're going to help you set up, because this is a stage 2 Pokemon, right? Generally, stage 2s can kind of be tough to get into play, but we've got Curlia with Mirage Step, which is going to let you search out 3 other Curlia and put them directly on your bench, just like that Frogadier water duplicates that's made that deck so successful. And then we also have Curlia with Refinement, it's called. Basically, trade lets you discard a card and draw 2. So you want to use Mirage Step, set up 3 of the Curlias with trade. That's going to give you some draw power throughout the game, going to let you evolve into your different Gardevoirs. You have both the Gardevoir EX and the Gardevoir with Shining Arcana. The Shining Arcana Gardevoir is going to do 60 plus 30 for each energy attached to it, which is the same attack as Zacian V, so you can also run that. You run the Sky Seal Stone with Zacian V, take a big knockout on whatever Pokemon VMAX, Pokemon V Star, take an extra prize card that way. Just a really, really strong deck all around. I believe there's also a Cresselia, which lets you move 2 damage from each of your Pokemon onto your opponent's active, so that can kind of help you heal off your board and shove that damage onto the opponent's active. But yeah, all around, lots of great attackers that you can play with this Gardevoir. It's just a matter of getting it all set up, and the different Curlias are going to help you do that. And my number 1 card from this set is Nest Ball. Quick Ball is rotating, so we kind of need a replacement for that. Battle VIP Pass is great, but you can only use it on the first turn. Nest Ball is going to let you get any basic Pokemon, put it right on the bench, anytime during the game. The downside of this is you can't use coming into play abilities, right? So you can't use Nest Ball to get a Luminian V or the Hawlucha like we talked about earlier. But you don't have to discard the card, which can be a good thing, can be a bad thing, right? If you have a dead card like Battle VIP Pass in hand, you don't really mind discarding that. If you're playing a deck like Mew Genesect, you kind of want to discard cards in order to draw more with Fusion Strike system, right? But we don't have much choice in the matter at this point since Quick Ball is rotating, so we're kind of going to have to adopt Nest Ball as our go-to. So I would expect the majority of decks to be playing at least a few copies of Nest Ball. All right, that's going to be it for this video. You can read the in-depth article which covers this ranking list on cuttertap.com, and then you can also visit deaddrawgaming.com for all your Pokemon TCG needs. Thanks for watching. Take care.